Welcome everybody to Uneducation Station, episode
something.
X. Y, I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. Timelines are usually fucked, so sometimes it changes. Who knows? I am Artur. That is Zek, and today we are an ad. How are you, Zach, today?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
It's been all of like 24 hours.
But no, it has been actually, well, for the people, it's been like a whole week, I think, because we're shooting for Monday. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. I'm turning off the AC.
Wait, why? No. Wait, Arthur, no.
You don't want the AC?
Oh,
Or
God.
do you want the AC? Then?
I want the AC.
Okay, fine.
I'm
To the
sorry.
detriment of the people, Zach, you get AC.
Well, it's fine. Arthur, you know
Okay.
how warm your room gets, and it's sunny
No, it's
outside.
because your house is just at a perpetual 30 degrees.
It's like 67 degrees.
Yeah, that's really cold for a house.
Dude, my room in the wintertime is like perpetual 65 degrees.
Listen, I understand. You know, I think having the house, the downstairs being cold is nice because then the upstairs gets cold in comparison because heat rises. If it's hotter in the second story usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
60 degrees is too far, Zach. 60 degrees is pretty cold in my, well, I mean, not cold, like I could go outside. 60 degrees outside is nice, but in a house, I don't know, man. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, it's 60 degrees outside right now. And
It's pretty nice.
It's quite pleasant.
It's quite pleasant, but that's a different story because there's sunlight. This is
I'm just a psycho.
60 degrees of sunlight is different than 60 degrees of cold air.
60 degrees of house.
So, I do want to talk about something, and by the time I talk about this and the time this episode goes up, it's gonna be pretty out of date. Although now we're kind of shooting in a schedule that makes it so that we are closer to topical than what we were before. Hopefully it works out. Don't know, but recently an Alder Lake dropped for Intel, which is the 12th gen, which you haven't really looked into too much.
So I haven't really had an opportunity to look into it too much.
That's okay. That's
just
okay.
because you know how my schedule is.
Yes.
If I don't make a conscious effort to do something, it doesn't happen.
That's okay. No worries. But it dropped recently, and it's very interesting. And I was talking about it with my stream, and this is the reason why I want to talk about it again. I find it super fascinating because, you know, I'm a tech guy, you know? You're a tech guy, but
Yeah.
you're a tech guy, I'm a tech guy. But I like to think that I am more into the hobbyist side. Not necessarily enthusiast yet, but I'm more hobbyist into like computers, I suppose, than you are.
I think the distinction between you and I is you are more up to date on the latest tech
Mhm.
and you're like in on all of like the releases and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm more so of like the hands-on type where I
Yes.
will do research on things that I will be able to tangibly
Mhm.
hold and use. Which is a little bit different, and like you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
there's no fault on
You're
either side of
comfortable.
the
You're
spectrum.
comfortable with tech,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I am just a nerd.
Well, we're both nerds. It's just varying levels of nerdiness, I guess.
So it recently dropped, and there's a lot of different opinions. So I'm gonna go over the very brief synopsis for you who doesn't know about 12th gen right now.
'Kay.
Intel, and for the people who don't know a lot about computers who are watching, which may be quite a bit. Intel makes CPUs. You know,
CPUs are like the processing power of the computer.
yes. Here, i7, i5, i3. That's what that is. That's Intel. All right, cool. That's the base. They're good. There's baseline, right? Okay.
I love how you went from like total tech jargon to this is what this is.
Well, here's the
what
thing.
it
I hate.
does.
Okay, I'm going to go into it more, but the number one thing I hate this so much, is when people just use jargon for whenever they speak generally, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like when if like imagine if I was talking with like some like with my friend or something. He doesn't know anything about computers, and he asked me what computers I should get, or what parts he should buy for his computer. And I start throwing, your CPU, your RAM, your PSU, your GPU, and you have to make sure your DDR4 is blah 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 blah. You know,
Yeah.
I hate that shit because it doesn't help them at all. And if I do say an acronym, I like to pronounce it or explain it, what it means. And if anybody's ever gotten advice about tech from me, you will know that I do my best to kind of, instead of just tell you what computer parts you should get for your gaming computer, I tell you what each of them are and what they do. Generally, not the nitty gritty stuff, but basically like how many cores your CPU has and why it's important.
I think a good example of that would definitely be when you were helping Jackson build his PC.
Yes.
Because he does not know a lot about computers. And he, like, the stuff that he specializes in is technically technology, but it's more of like,
but he's a mechanic.
He's a mechanic, he's a machinist, but also on the hobbyist side of things, he does guitar, or like he plays guitar.
Oh yeah.
He has guitars, pedals, pedal boards, like,
Yes.
the electronics that go along with that.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
that stuff he knows a lot about. But when it comes to other kind of avenues of technology, he's not as knowledgeable. And so when you were kind of explaining what all the parts did and everything, like, it wasn't that hard to explain to him because, it's whatever. But, he didn't really have that fundamental like background knowledge.
He doesn't
of what
have a
stuff
baseline.
does.
The way knowledge works, Zach. Knowledge. You know anything about knowledge, Zach? I feel like there's an era of children who don't know what that is, Zach, of that meme, and I'm upset. Well, actually, no, there definitely is. Yeah, when did that ad come up? Knowledge here in my garage. What is he doing in life? I hope he's okay. A lot of people clowned him, Zach, I feel like, but I'm gonna switch over to you real quick. I hope he's doing all right. Just all things considered, I'm sure he is. Ty Lopez. Is there a date hit here in the Know Your Meme? Or is it just 15? Or that could be a re-upload though. Let's see.
2015.
2015. Okay. So if you're 5 years old, or if you're 6 years old, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you're 6 years old, you should not be watching this show. Or maybe you do, and you're okay with that.
Here in my garage.
If you're 6 and you're watching this, good for you. Just do not take part of the language that the mild language that we may or may not throw out. But you know what? Here's a friendly disclaimer. Here's a background of your boy Anuki. Tangent time, okay?
Okay, wait, can I say one thing really
Yeah.
quick? This is not a news show. We were just talking about things that we're seeing in the real world. And
Yes.
we are speaking on it with opinionated opinions, and also we are using limited research, so we may...
I'm not pulling up any spec sheets, any articles. I'm not. I've watched a couple videos. That's as far as I go on this thing behind me that if you're listening on Spotify, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I want to talk about computers. I like computers. This is a conversation between, if you and I were to have a conversation on Twitter or something, if you are sitting on the couch with me and we're just having a go, and no normal conversation is you and I talking across the couch from each other, football playing in the background, loud music over there, mom's making dinner, or dad,
Mom spaghetti.
knees weak, vomits already.
Arm spaghetti. He's nervous.
No conversation like that is like we're talking and then, oh, hold on, give me a sec. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, yeah. Okay, I just needed to make sure I was right. My bad. No, that is the worst conversation. Unless it's like critically important to check something in that very moment. But otherwise, after every sentence, it's not like we're fact checking each other. We're just having a conversation. If we end up being wrong, we will acknowledge that sometime either in the conversation or down the road. At the moment, doesn't matter. We're too busy having a beer and watching American football and eating potato salad and
And chicken wings. I will say that I do find myself researching a lot of things, but that's not necessarily like me trying to fact check myself in like a pretentious way or trying to like fact check other people. It's just like And for me, a lot of it is like historical events, like dates for historical events.
Yes, of
and
course.
So I'll just be like, oh yeah, that was somewhere around this time, and I'm like, wait, when did that actually happen? And then I'll like Google it and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, you were about to go on a tangent.
Well, just a very brief tangent on just on the young audience, I suppose, and what I see in the children, Zach.
The children.
Listen, when me growing up, and you went to middle school with me, so you know, and you can attest to this, and I can attest to you as well. I had quite a potty mouth.
Oh my gosh, Arthur, you came up with the worst combination of cuss words.
Yes, I'm not proud of it, but you know, I know the exact reason why I developed such a sailor mouth. I was a kid. I was that kid in your middle school, your elementary. No, I not really elementary school. Maybe elementary school. I'm not sure. If so, I apologize. I did have quite the potty mouth. I was the type of kid to drop a cuss word in every single sentence. That's just kind of what ended up happening. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's not because of my parents' influence, not because of my family, although some of my family do curse. I didn't take it from them. Maybe it had to do with me watching Smosh and Charlie the Unicorn. I'm not sure. But
and llamas with hats.
Llamas with hats, that definitely helped. Did they curse that? Wait, did they really?
No, I don't think so.
They didn't curse wait, did they? I mean, it was just fucked, but I don't think they cursed very much. I mean, not in like comparison, but I know Smosh and them definitely cursed back then. But you know, different times, of course. I developed a sailor mouth from around elementary school to middle schoolish, and then I shaped up around high school. You know, the old puberty type thing. But
I more so use it as like an exclamation mark in a sentence.
Yes, I'm gonna get to that towards the end. But for me, I just want to let you know I'm not a perfect human being. I was the kid who was just cursing a bunch. I was a little shitlord who ran around Naruto running and did these things. That was me, and I made origami ninja stars. I was a fucking weird kid.
Bro, you taught me how to make origami ninja stars.
I don't know how to do it anymore. Maybe I do actually. I bet if I just sat down, I could probably do it actually.
Arthur, I think there needs to be a day where we need to either record or stream us making like ninja stars and
origami. Dude, I fucking love origami. I had an origami phase in middle school. I did shit balloons, swans. Bro, that was my shit.
Dude, I remember
I still know how to make a balloon. I don't know why. I just know how to make a balloon. That's the only origami piece that I retain.
Dude, it's so funny because I remember back in middle school, you and I would sit in the library during recess.
Oh, what a fucking nerds we were. Jeez Louise. Oh, man.
And we would sit there with those origami books and we would learn how to make shit out of paper. And it was super fun. And we learned how to make the double-sided ninja stars, and we thought that those were the coolest fucking things in the planet.
Because there were two types of ninja stars. There was a one-sided and the double-sided. And the double-sided packed a bigger punch, dude. It was cool. Who thinks of that? Who thinks of that?
And then we proceeded to throw them at each other.
Yes. Not a very good idea, but it is what it was. But it's okay. Whatever. It was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I remember there was one time I made a ninja star out of paper and then I wrapped it in duct tape.
Oh.
And then I proceeded to throw it at my brother and it stuck.
It's stuck.
It's stuck.
Like a sticky ninja star.
No, like it
into his really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that even possible? Well, I mean, I guess it is possible. What happened?
Yeah. Well, basically I don't remember what we were throwing it at initially. I think it was just like cardboard boxes.
Okay,
and like
so that means you were throwing it with force.
Oh yeah, with yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And also, I was at around the same time I had learned how to throw cards.
Oh man, I was gonna bring that up, bro. Throwing cards, bro.
And so I found that my school ID reacted in a similar fashion to what the
bing 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 bong ching chong. Zach, during
bing,
our
bong,
session,
ching, chong.
during our session.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm putting it on silent. Anyways, so
I'm gonna check my phone now.
So this was around that same time, and I was using my ID to throw at a cardboard box so that it would stick.
Yes.
And so basically, I decided to take a ninja star that I had created out of paper, wrap it in duct tape, and then my brother was like, "Oh, it probably wouldn't hurt that bad," and then I just fucking and threw it like with all of my might, and it stuck. into
His hand,
his body.
his body.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was fucking.
But what I'm getting at is he asked for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still not a good idea, but he asked for it, so that makes it not as bad as it definitely would have been. Because if it was just like, "Ha, fuck you," that would have been bad.
Yeah.
For assorted reasons.
I mean, okay. Keep in mind, this was a household where we would take Bakugan and throw them at each other.
I cannot believe you would say that. How the fuck? Why the fuck would you disrespect Bakugan like that?
It was mostly my brother throwing them at me.
I'm upset about that. That hurts me. That's like saying I threw cards, but Pokemon cards.
If they were only like really crappy energy cards, I could understand that, but not like classic gens.
The shiny, the holographic Charizard. That's what it sounded like to me, Zach.
Those are worth like 20 grand now. I think.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what it sounded like when you open that when you open and close that sentence with we threw Bakugan at each other. I'm hurt. I'm outright disappointed.
If it makes you feel any better, they weren't any of like the cool ones.
Okay. Still. Anyways, where am I going with this? Oh yeah, I just shaped up. I just stopped cursing. That's but here's the thing, Zach. I feel like that's not the case for many kids. Because the reason why I stopped cursing wasn't for any moral, well, it was for moral reasons, but I understood those morals. I feel like there's definitely a lot of kids who don't hold on to those morals and ethics and reasonability. Because I just used that word, get fucked, made that word up. As you explain, nowadays I curse for emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what curse words should be, because at the end of the day, excuse me, curse words don't even translate in other languages. You know,
yeah.
They translate much different. Like, so for me in the English language, it makes no sense for me to use curse words as their own standalone word.
Yeah,
that makes zero sense to the other languages. So, for example, if I called you a bitch, that's a little bit different, I suppose, because I don't know. It's hard for something like that, but then again, if I called you a bitch, I feel like I was almost going to say an adjective, but that would not make sense. If I'm calling you a bitch, I'm calling you some sort of noun. Let me rephrase that. Let's say the difference between I'm really angry and I'm fucking angry.
Yeah,
that is the differentiation. That is the difference of what I like to think, because instead of just like, Zach, that fucking shit, that fucking man, fucking that one fucking the shit, fucking, that's just ignorant. That's just that old saying where if you have to curse, you just don't know another word to use.
So I thought of one of the reasons why I used to, well, I still cuss a lot, but why I used to cuss like a lot when I was a kid.
Sure.
And it was because instead of using placeholder words like I'd be like fucking
yes. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, sometimes I'll still do that, but at the same time, it's like, if you can't come up with a not vulgar way to say something, then you need to read a book.
Right. I don't read books, and I've gotten it down. So the bar
come on, you're reading.
I am reading light novel. I mean, before I'm reading it now.
Yeah.
Before though, I was not. I took honors English too, and that's the extent of my literary. There we go. That's the word I was going for. Literary. Academic ability, but it's pretty good.
Little willy,
dedicated wham. Listen, basically that long tangent of literally not even the topic of this episode is that if you are a young person that is watching right now, and I know some of my family watches this podcast, and some of their children may tune in, of which I say my bad, but you should have figured out by now. I may drop a couple curse words. I'm 21. I'm sorry, and I also grew up in America. That's just kind of how it works, right?
Yeah.
But I don't use it ignorantly anymore. And
I try not to.
You try not to. I also don't. I also raised in a different household.
Right.
Not that your household is a sailor mouth house. That's not what I mean. I mean like literally like an Asian household, I suppose, right? So while I did grow up in America, frankly, I don't even know any curse words in Laos, because that's the type of household that I lived in, the type of family we lived. We never cursed. I don't know any. I genuinely don't know any curse words in Laos because I never heard it. And that is my massive tie back to what I'm trying to get at about knowledge. There we go. You brought it back. I was trying so hard to find a way to get back, but I got it. The way knowledge works, Zach, is reference. You have a reference point, a baseline. There is no way to just learn things without understanding what is good and what is bad first. Like I can't just say, okay, Jackson, go to PC Part Picker, PCPartPicker.com. Great website, by the way. If you ever want to look into PCs, see compatibility, get an assortment of parts, prices, all that type of stuff. Not sponsored, but it's a great website, and many people in our space know about it. PC Part Picker. Use that website. It's a great way to just like from top to bottom, from CPU all the way down to power supply, and even monitors and mice and stuff, and to speakers and custom parts. Very, very simple way to just figure out how to build a computer, or rather, how to get the parts for your computer. It tells you compatibility issues. It tells you what will work. There's like literally a checkbox to make sure that you can't pick anything that is not compatible. It's a great website. Use it if you're ever, building a computer for the first time, or have been building computers. I still use it all the time. Anyways, besides the point, I can't just tell Jackson, I can't just tell person A, all right, go on PC Part Picker, build a computer. Your budget is $1,000. Go ahead. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
So when I did that, when I was a young lad in my free time, before you and I really started exchanging a lot of information super consistently, and I say exchanging a lot of information like when there was that lull where we didn't really hang out a whole lot. I learned some stuff just from like dicking around, like, oh, this isn't compatible with this. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But I never really knew the differences between different parts. And I think that that's something that's really, really important, especially if you're trying to build your own computer. And knowing the best bang for your buck, I guess. And so when you were talking to me about when we were building my computer, I don't remember what card you told me that I should get, but I ended up finding the 1660 Ti, which is currently in my computer. Killer card, by the way, if you're balling on a budget. I love the
1660 Ti. I still recommend the 1660 Super. That being said, you can't buy any of them. But 1660 Ti, before the Super came out, because when you were buying it, the Super did come out. So it was kind of a weird way to kind of like, and you already bought it. It was like kind of weird because I was doing either 1660 Super or the 2060. You ended up going into the middle, hit the 6060 Ti. Still a great card, of course, great card. But yes, as ended up what you're going for.
I ended up doing my own kind of research. I talked to Ben, who actually had a 1660 Ti in his build, and that was what kind of convinced me to do research on the card and all of that kind of stuff. And I found out that it was pretty good for what I was going to be using it for.
Yep.
And it turned out to be a pretty awesome build. And I can sit here and act like I did a ton of research and all this stuff when it was just me talking to you, essentially.
Yeah.
Where I was like, is this a good idea? Like, do you think that this would be a good idea for the build, or any of that kind of stuff?
The way you obtain a frame of reference is to do your own research and talk with there's so many ways to get a reference, because there's reference at the end of the day, so even something as objective as computer parts. Yeah. Like, you buy this part, you will get this amount of power. There's nothing more objective than literally that. But it is still subjective in the sense that there is bias. Someone who may prefer Intel over AMD, which we'll talk about in a bit. Someone who may prefer NVIDIA over AMD. Someone who may prefer Corsair RAM over G-Skill RAM. Even something like that. ASUS motherboard versus MSI motherboard. There's always that little bit, and it's gonna. And that's going to not necessarily depend on like fanboyism, although that can be part of it, but also just their experience. Because I've had times where I worked with a gigabyte motherboard, and I've just had a bad time. But I know the general consensus is, like, after doing more research, is that, that same gigabyte board that I worked with was fine for a lot of other people. I just had a bad experience myself. So then if I didn't know any better, I know you really want to chime in, I know. But what I'm saying is, if I didn't know any better and to understand that, imagine if you asked you asked me for that same gigabyte motherboard, for example. I'm not going to name it, but, and I said, I worked in it and it's not that good. That just skewed your perspective on that. And now you're going to tell your boys that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's hard because your first impression on anything, whether it's good or bad, can really determine where you kind of go from there. And a perfect example of that is when you... have we mentioned this on the show? I don't remember, but you were sitting complaining about NZXT power supplies, and then
no, not power supplies. I like the power supply that we used. Was it the power supply?
Yeah, you weren't a fan of the case that I got.
Oh, I hate the case.
I don't care.
Crazy.
You specifically told me to not get that case, and I was like, "Fuck you! I'm getting it anyways because it looks cool." And my PC hasn't exploded or overheated or anything like that. So, it's fine. Everything's fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine. But
anyways, you have a 1660 Ti, Zach. Calm down.
Hey, man.
Calm down, Zach.
It's fine.
You have a very power efficient card, which is a great card. And it's great that it is power efficient. But that is why your PC has not exploded. Anyways, proceed. I'm gonna fight my case, Zach. I'm gonna fight my own ground. But proceed.
Here's the deal. That's totally fine. Like we could sit here and bullshit and be like, "Fuck yo," but it's more of like, you have your reasons why you don't like it. I have my reasons why I like it, and I think you were having problems with like a power supply or something, and you're like, "Fuck this! I hate this! I don't want to use these anymore." And then you ended up getting another one for another build.
No, it was EVGA power supplies.
EVGA power supplies.
That's what it is.
That's what it was.
Because my experience, if you know anything about computers, EVGA power supplies are fantastic. They're great. The EVGA is a great company. I'm not saying they're shit. I need to rule that out immediately because, like I said, if I keep going without ruling that out, if I don't make that disclaimer, Zach, then people are going to hear this and then they might click out the video immediately because they're like, oh, fuck this show. And then now the only information they retain is that, oh, Anuki doesn't like EVGA power supplies. He knows a lot about tech. I'm going to not buy EVGA power supplies. I'm going to tell my boys about not liking EVGA power supplies. You see? So I'm going to put a disclaimer now. And I hate that I have to do this. This is so stupid. But I do not hate EVGA power supplies. I do not hate, that hurt pains me a little bit, the NZXT 510. I am just not a fan of it. And in my experience with EVGA power supplies, I've used them for my main build. I've used them for this build right here, the podcast PC, and I've used them for another, for Cameron's build that still hasn't gone up yet on my channel. I'm still working on it. My bad. And I've had a bad experience with them. They were noisy. They were loud. I actually went and the one that's in the podcast PC right now is the one that I put in Cameron's PC. It was too loud. Like the fans would literally ramp up to like 2,400 RPM, which is very loud. Or whatever. I forgot. It might have been even louder. I don't know. But 2,400 is very loud. RPM being, I think, rate per minute. Sorry, I don't. Revolution per minute. Rate. Yeah. What the fuck? Sorry. Which is a pretty fast for a case fan or for a power supply fan. And I RMA'd it and I got it back. It's great now. Put it in there. Great. So I must have just gotten a faulty system or a faulty PSU, right? Probably the same idea with my PC over there, my 850 Supernova.
That's my...
Drop that. My bad.
I switched cameras at the worst time. So that was the point that you're going to accidentally impale yourself and it's going to be a bad time.
It's all good, Zach. I'm chilling.
So that was something that I was going to kind of like piggyback into, is that your first experience with anything can really skew your opinion of it. So say the first. I guess here's a good example. Like, let's say the first Samsung phone you ever had was the Samsung Galaxy Note 7.
And you were waddling around to Starbucks and went. You're like, what the fuck?
No, you're like, you aren't even one of the people who had an exploding phone, because I'm not one of the people who had the exploding phone.
Was the 7 just shit?
No, it was literally the best phone I ever had, and then it ended up getting recalled 3 times, and I ended up
okay, so you're just saying,
so if you have like a super negative experience with a brand or a product or anything like that, and that's the first time that you've ever used said product or brand or whatever, then that's the only information that you really have to.
So that's something that felt a little sketchy on my chair. I'll mention it later, but new chair. Anyways, proceed.
So if that's the first time that you ever end up having any experience with that, then that can really skew your perspective and skew your opinion of said thing.
Yes.
Like with you and EVGA power supplies. But like you said, if like you ended up sending it back, getting another one, it ended up working great. And like every Samsung I've had since then has been absolutely fantastic. Like I've loved every single one of them. And so it's hard when there are so many factors that can go into you not liking something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you could get philosophical with it or not, but it can get really weird, especially when you're trying to relay information to other people where you're like, I had a bad experience with this thing. I think it's about the way you address it. Like, if you're like, I had a bad experience with EVGA power supplies in the past, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're great either. I don't really know 110% because I had a bad experience with it.
I think...
Well, if it's a faulty...
Yeah, it could, that happens. Yeah. You get DNA debt or... Dead on DOA. Sorry, I was looking for that. Hey, there's acronyms again. Dead on arrival things. It happens because Zach, you're just one person. I'm just one person. You are not special, Zach. Get fucked. It's been a while.
I will just go fuck myself.
It's been a while. Sorry, I had to throw that in. You're not special. You do not get special power supply privileges, Zach. I'm sorry. They're not shipping thousands, millions of power supply. They go through the list. They see Zach Phillips. Oh, look at that. Zach Phillips has just bought a power supply. Let's give him the best A1 unit possible, boys. No, they're not doing that. They're just giving you another 1 out of a million power supply. But maybe not a million, sorry. 1 out of 1,000, 100,000, 10,000, whatever it may be. Power supply of that power supply that they're Amazon Prime shipping out to everybody. And sure, there is a chance you get a bad unit. Power supplies is electronic, scary circuitry. It can happen. It's all good. Linus Tech Tip, Zach. Ever heard of him?
I have.
All right, cool.
LTTstore.com.
Well, I don't have my water bottle. I do have LTT Store water bottle. Anyways, he just did a piece, literally today. I haven't finished watching it. And by the time this episode goes up, it would have been last week. He recently got a display port or a cable tester, HDMI cable tester. And he's like, I spent $10,000 on HDMI cables to test them all for you, or something like that, something along the lines of that. And basically, there's a tester. He plugs in the HDMI cable in, and the other end in it as well, and it tests and it does some magical technology, zeros and one shit, and it poops out a bunch of data and tells you if it's a bad cable or not. And he could have just very well probably not spent $10,000, maybe much less than that. But the reason why I racked up that much is because they bought 3 of the same cable, because he explained, and I believe this is his words, paraphrasing because I'm pulling from memory. 1 could have just been a faulty unit. 2 could be a coincidence. 3 is a pattern. HDMI cables ship even more than power supplies, Zach. Those now probably rack millions at this point, of which then thousands end up in a landfill, and now we have a big problem in the earth. But it's okay because the whole cleaning the ocean thing is happening right now, and that's fantastic, by the way.
I love that.
Love that as well. So It can just happen. But here's the thing, Zach, and this is actually one of the big things I wanted to talk about, because now at this point, I don't even know if we talk about fucking Intel, but because I got this chair, this is the next thing I want to talk about, which is reviews. Reviews are the most biased, skewed things to ever exist, and it's our number one resource in finding out whether a product is good or not. Here we go. I gotta throw another damn disclaimer. I just mentioned I watched Linus Tech Tips. I love Linus Tech Tips, and all these reviewers, they're fantastic and they're good. I watched their videos to figure out what I know about Intel or this new 12th gen Alder Lake stuff. I'm not saying they're bad in what they're trying to present. The problem is what the people take out of it. I suppose so. There's nothing wrong with the pieces they do. They do great. They do legitimate work. They do their benchmarks. They do all the sorts of things, right? They're not doing anything wrong. The problem is what you say, first impressions, biasism, if that's a word,
Mm-hmm.
The same thing of like, Linus makes a video on 12th gen saying it's awesome. AMD fanboy lover 69 goes, man, fucking kill. That's already a discrepancy, That's a problem.
Yeah.
This chair I bought, Zach, I'm sitting on it right now. I don't know if you can hear it in the mic. It's kind of rattly. Every time I lean back and forward, these squeak a little bit. I bought this chair for $30, Zach, on sale. And after finishing building it this morning, process was like, it wasn't the best, but I was building a chair, whatever. I was listening to a podcast. I was having a time, so whatever the fuck, I don't care. And I was like, I finished it. I put it down. I sat in it, and I was like, yep, that's a chair. And here's the thing, Zach. I can recommend this chair because it's a chair. Zach, if someone doesn't have a chair and they say, man, I need a chair, I'll be like, hey, guess what? This is a chair.
$30.
$30. It has wheels, a couple armrests. It has a lumbar support. That's fun.
And it also can go up and down.
It can go up and down. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess with the framing.
This one can go only up because
you're all the way. You're a super tall boy and you have to go all the way down.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why your shot is so weird. And it can do that, apparently.
Yeah, yours can do that too.
Yeah, but I'm too scared to. But it's a chair, Zach. And here's the thing. I look at the reviews, right? And everyone's like, don't buy this chair. This chair is garbage. Some of the screws are not aligned. It's cheap plastic. It broke. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I'm looking at these at the pictures and the spec sheet of it, whatever that even means. It can fit my weight. It can fit my bucket size, or not bucket size. Why did I say bucket? Well, that's for gaming chairs because they have a bucket seat. My waist size is like, okay, it's a chair. It's on sale. It's like $30. Sure, I bought it. I built it. I'm sitting on it right now. And Zach, guess what?
It's a chair.
It's a chair, and for that reason, I'm just like, why do these people care so much? I feel like I want to, but I'm not a reviewer, so I don't usually put Amazon reviews. I know that's a bad thing. You probably should. I just don't usually do it. But if I were to, I would say, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars, 3 out of 5 stars. It's a chair. Everybody in the reviews is like, this is shit. This is a garbage piece of waste of e-waste. It's gonna go in a landfill because it's garbage. And I'm just like, man, I'm just sitting on a chair that I bought for a pretty reasonable price. I don't know, but it's like,
dude,
it's a I don't care. I think what people are this misconception of, like, when you are looking into these budget options, if I buy like a $100 chair, Zach, then I'm going to start caring, right? I'm going to be like, okay, I bought this $100 chair and it broke in a week. This is bullshit. Or I bought this $100 chair, it's kind of squeaky. I bought this $30 chair, it's kind of squeaky. Yeah, that's to be expected. Figured as much. I'm not surprised.
It's a chair.
It's a chair. I feel like a lot of people, I know a lot of people in the reviews are like, this is garbage. It squeaks too much. It feels really loose. You paid $30 for it. What do you mean? Of course it's not going to be that great. Why did you expect a 5-star Herman Miller chair experience on this $30 chair? You know?
That's like getting a $100 point and shoot camera and expecting it to shoot 4K.
That's like me buying a GTX
A Dell Inspiron,
a GTX 1050 Ti and saying, why can I not play this game in 4K 120? What is this bullshit? I expected my... Shut up. It's a graphics card. You obtained a graphics card in 2021. You should clap for yourself. You deserve it.
and then proceed to go fuck yourself.
But here's the thing, Zach. I feel like... Sorry, I'm backing away from the mic because I'm stiffly. Hold on. Okay. It's also kind of the fault of not just the people, but also the fault of manufacturers and those who are marketing it. Because in marketing, what do you do in marketing, Zach? You say your product is awesome.
Yeah.
You say your product is great priced compared to the competition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what you do. You don't say the bad things about it. Maybe if in the fine print, but in the marketing that you show the general masses of people who aren't going to click on another link to verify. This is you say my chair is our chair is fantastic and it's the best chair and it's the best bang for your buck chair you're ever going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Our CPU is the best bang for your buck you're ever going to buy. Our camera is the best bang for your buck you're ever going to buy. And then you go on YouTube reviews and they're like, yeah, this is a great thing. I think YouTube reviews, they do list bad things, but they do it in a way because at the end of the day, YouTube reviews are just visual and audio blogs and visual and audio articles. And what that means is that it's a journalism piece. And what that means is that it's a paper, an essay. What does that mean, Zach? You throw counter arguments. We're back on that, Zach.
Oh, God.
You throw counter arguments, the cons, to, yes, validify the fact that it is not a perfect thing, but you use it to support what pros do exist. So I'm not saying that Linus Tech Tips, Marquez Brownlee, they're great people. I watch their videos. I watched their videos to determine if I bought this damn $1,000 phone, Zach. Do my carrier for cheaper. Those are important, and they will net you much faster research than if you were to read a damn article, because reading sucks. But what you have to be careful is that even if it is an article, they're editorial pieces. At the end of the day, they're editorial pieces. They are counter arguments to support their own pros and cons. And some pieces will actually do like they will say, hey, this is a shit product. I'm gonna tell you why. That's fantastic. But that's why you don't have to rely on just those. First of all, don't just watch a Marquez Brownlee video. Watch everybody else's videos around it as well. Don't just watch the big YouTubers' videos on it. Watch the smaller ones as well.
I think the small reviewers are the ones that will be the most brutally honest, because a lot of the time they bought it with their own money.
Yes.
And, you talk about Unbox Therapy, Marquez Brownlee, like a lot of Linus Tech Tips, like a lot of these big reviewer channels. And there's nothing bad about the way that they operate at all. But a lot of the time they're given these things by these companies to make videos about them. And so not only do they have to make it so that they can maintain a good rapport with these companies, but also at the same time, they have to do like a balancing act almost of like, how much can I shit on this without, Samsung being like, you can go fuck yourself. I'm not gonna send you any more stuff.
Well, here's the thing, Zach. It's not completely like that, but it is kind of like that, but just so slimly, because that is a factor. because they obtained it for free, it's there. That factor is entered. Even if and it is true, you know, I mean, these reviewers, top tier reviewers, if a product is shit, they will say it's shit. They'll put in their title that it's shit. You know, they will do that. We are not discrediting them. This is not some sort of us underdogs firing at the big dog. No. I watch their videos every day. Shut up. Don't paint us like that.
This is more so of a.
It's just the truth. It's just the law.
It's the truth, and this is our observation from seeing this from a consumer's perspective, like a consumer of their content. This is what we are getting from it. That doesn't necessarily mean that is the intent of the creator, nor is it the 100% like this is what's happening. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So, anyways, go ahead.
No, it's. Oh, geez, what the fuck? It's just a fact. It's just how the nature of things and how it works. It's not a bad thing. It's not an inherent thing, but it just means that you have to not just trust one source. That's all it means. That's all I'm trying to say. Don't watch one Linus Tech Tips video and decide if that's the move.
And also, that can be applied to so many different things. Like you watch videos about anime, shows, movies. Just because one person doesn't like something, that doesn't mean that it's bad. And when we talk about like anime and that kind of stuff, I mean, every single episode that we've made on an anime so far, I think, has been overall like positive.
Oh yeah, because I wouldn't make you watch a bad show, Zach. That's my job, and I will tell you the bad. In a way, with the still subjective, but just in the overarching themes, just a not up to par show. But I mean, not saying they're bad series, and I'm sure their manga versions and their light novel series are probably fantastic. I'm sure this is anime adaptations suck. That's unfortunate. But here's the thing, Zach. You know what anime adaptations are at the end of the day, Zach? Marketing for the source material.
I never thought of it that way.
That is what anime adaptation is in my eyes. I don't know. My eyes. And I pointed at my chest when I said my eyes. My eyes. My chest. My heart. That's what it is to me.
That's what it is in my
thighs.
Buddha necklace.
In my Buddha necklace. Oh, it's out. Oh, my bad. So, if I mean, I would not be reading the Origaru light novels right now if it wasn't for the anime.
I need to watch that, by the way.
You do. I am cheesing on it so hard because light novel is making me geek so bad. I want to rewatch it. So, you know, the vibes. But it's a very long series. It's 3 seasons. And it's like, oh, geez. But I mean, it has been a while.
How many episodes per season?
12 to 20, I think. I think the first season might be 20, and then the next couple are like 12, 13. Maybe. We'll see. It has been a while since we watched an anime, so we'll figure it out. But that would be, oh my goodness, you know how I feel about social hierarchy type shit. Oh my lord, I would love to have an entire 3-hour long conversation episode. But, you know, that's besides the point. What I'm saying is I would have never done that. I would have never read the light novels. I would never have bought the No Game No Life light novels if I didn't watch anime. Or the anime, right? Because I want to know more. I want to, yeah, there you go. She right there. I want to know the source material. The anime adaptations of a manga is advertisement for the manga, and I don't know about that, Zach. I don't know.
I'm just finding a place to purchase.
I don't know about that.
Ah,
there you go. All right.
All right. Anyways,
and manga adaptations of the light novel are advertisements for the light novel. That's kind of how it works. At least, okay, let me rephrase that before some elitist gets really mad. That's how it is for here in North America. Because we don't exist in a place where, you know, Japanese light novels, a much smaller market, just exists. Although you can find them in, there we go. You can find them in like Barnes & Noble and stuff, you know, because there's tons of light novels in Barnes & Noble, but in the grand scheme of things, the mainstream is not reading light novels or the source material in comparison to like, in comparison to literally Japan.
Right.
Right? So that means that the anime has to be your gateway into wanting to know the source material. That's just how it is over here. Not for everybody, but just in general, that's just how it is. So what that means is that if the anime is bad, they did a bad job with the anime, they changed the story, they had shit animation, the lines were different, they literally changed the ending or some bullshit like that, which does happen, then that means they're probably there's two avenues. One, they could be curious to know what the actual reason was, but the main thing that's going to happen is that they're not going to check the source material. They're not going to read the manga. They're not going to read the light novel.
If you think about it, movies are also, like, movies based on TV shows are also a way to kind of get people to watch the TV series. Or, you know, like there are movies based on books, movies based on people. You know, like I ended up accidentally going down a serial killer rabbit hole, and I ended up learning way too much about like Ted Bundy, you know, just like a whole bunch of other stuff. And that, you know, the way that they're able to make you like pique your interest in a way, you know what I mean? It's like, it just draws you in and makes you want to learn more about it.
Sure.
And that could be about literally anything. And so when you're able to do that properly, like they did in No Game, No Life, like they did in, you know, Buddy Girl Senpai, like all of the shows that we've watched so far and talked about on this show, and many, 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 many others that we haven't talked about yet, just because, you know, I haven't had the time to watch a ton of anime lately.
It's okay.
But
me neither.
you know, it's when it's done right, it's an amazing thing. And when it's done wrong, it's a horrible disservice to the source material.
Yes.
And that's not shitting on that's not shitting on the source material. That's just the way that it was.
It's just what happened because, but then at the same time, there's many other factors: budget, time frame, you know, the studios, but not even the studios. But that's the factor. Then the subcategories of studios could be poor directing or a lower budget. Lower budget means not as many animators or not as skilled animators. Poor sound direction. Poor maybe even poor working conditions. You know, all those sorts of things that are higher up, things that are behind the scenes that us on the ground level don't know about. Oh, I want to talk about this so damn bad now that we brought it up. Thank you, Zach, because I talked about this in my stream last night. Shout out, by the way, Anuki Dayo. It's no longer Unuki, by the way. It's Anuki Dayo. So,
I also stream on Twitch sometimes.
Yes, Zach Peanut, you did last night.
Yeah, I streamed last night.
Let's
that was
go.
kind of fun. I was just sitting editing pictures. It was kind of great.
That's fun. That's a fun thing.
Yeah,
that's good. We're editing my pictures by Chaz. I'm just I'm playing. Although my mom is kind of getting a little rily now.
Okay. All right. I'll try to get
No. I mean, I'm forcing my load onto you. Pause. So, you know, it's okay. It's all good. Anyways, so we're talking about like this guy, homie, was talking about a developing company, I suppose, Playground or something like that, who does Horizon, which is that street racing game, right? Or racing game, street racing game. I don't know. I don't know anything about cars, nor Horizon, Forza, that type of franchise. I don't know anything about it. I've explained this before in the show. I'm not a car person. I don't know anything about cars, you know? So I don't want to... If I use incorrect terms or maybe not very enthusiast terms, I apologize. I'm not a car person. Anyways, so I do not know the full story, but basically some licensing things happened with that and they weren't able to do something or whatever with the game and people were mad about it, right? But in my ears, what that just sounds like is that there's just disagreements between a bunch of people in boardrooms wearing suit and ties, business suits, Dell XPS 15s, PowerPoints, projectors, round table, outlets coming from the middle.
Someone on a conference call?
100 stories high, looking down at the peasants. Us? That's what it sounded like to me. And something during that meeting did not correlate correctly, and they were not able to obtain a license. What can that probably be? I don't know. Maybe money. Are we another economy episode? Let's go. Money makes the world goes round. Makes the world go round. It's just kind of how it is. And then another thing that they said, oh, one time they Toyota or something backed out because they didn't like street racing or something like that, and then they brought him back for DLC. What that sounds like to me, and I don't know the full picture. I do not. I don't know this. I don't even know the franchise. I'm sorry. I've never played a racing game in my life, actually, other than Mario Kart. So I'm generalizing now. I'm using these two as an example, but this event may not have taken place. So, for example, let's say a company like Playground, a developing company like Playground, wanted Toyota in their game, but Toyota said, no, we don't want our brand associated with street racing. They pull out. Sometime down the line, they make a couple phone calls, a couple emails, Zach, a couple business clipboards, couple of those.
And they're back on.
They're back on. But Toyota wants more money. Because they are still not down with the whole street racing thing. So they're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. But we want to be compensated more. Again, might not be how that worked. Could be completely different. Maybe it is Playground's fault. I don't know. But I'm using this as an example now. Okay? Toyota says, okay, fine, we'll do it. Fine, we'll do it. But we want more compensation than before. We want a bigger estimate. So we want a bigger quote rather. And then Playground is like, okay, fine. But if that's going to have to be the case, then we're going to have some issues. And not only do we have to, we have to bring them in anyways. So in order to scalp some money back up, let's release it for DLC. I'm sure our fans would buy it. And fans are probably, I don't know, again, fans are probably super upset about it. They don't fucking care. Fans bought it anyways.
Right.
Because the fans are... Listen, I know the people are important. We live in a democratic society. The voice is the voice is of the people. And, nowadays, it's kind of a little freaky outside right now.
It's a little yikes.
A little like yikes right now, but at least on paper, that's what a democratic society is. And even though it's pretty bad right now and it's pretty yikes right now, it's definitely more democratic than one that may not be democratic. So, at least we have that going. But yes, the voice of the people is important and it should be important. But business is business. We can cry about USB-C and Apple not using USB-C, and we can cry about it on their iPhones. We can bitch and moan about it. We can make our reviews about it. We can make angry tweets about it. Apple doesn't care. They're still going to make your money, or they're still going to take your money because that is still their loyal fan base. And frankly, as we explained before, if they do switch from USB to USB-C, if they do switch from Lightning port to USB-C, it sounds really good on paper, but that's scary because there's a lot of people who have only lived their life with Lightning now have to adopt USB-C. That's scary. That could even be a reason to back out. That's a lot of money. To us, that's the difference between a $20, literally the same priced cable. To them, that's the difference between $1 billion and $1 million. Mm-hmm. Or $1 million or $1 million to $1 billion. Lower to, or rather, no, lower. $1 billion to $1 million. That is an actual consideration. I'm just throwing numbers, of course, but that's what it means to them. At the end of the day, we are just, we're just pawns in their chess game. Mm-hmm. And the game that they have to play. And that's not a bad thing. That's just economy. That's just business. That's just the way they have to look at it. They care about their fans. That's not a bad thing. It's not like we're just a bunch of like jokes, or we're just a bunch of, I don't know, just a classic clan type of shit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not like that to an extent, but they have to think of us like that because that's how they're going to grow. We have to be chess pieces in their chess game. Marketing. It's just how that works. It's not a bad thing. That's how market growth. That's how competition happens, Zach. That's how it works.
That was a great tie-in, by the way.
Thank you. I'm really good at this. Honors English too, by the way. I can't read, but I can write. Listen, Zach. We mentioned it a little bit before, but you can hate Amazon and Newegg and these online retailers. Jeff Bezos can be a shitlord to you, and you can tweet about it all you want. He doesn't give a fuck. He's going to make his money. And you can say, hold on, Zach. Shh. And you can say that Jeff Bezos, our God, Lord, and Savior, Amazon, Newegg, B&H Photo, all these all these online retailers, you can say that they are killing local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that if you want, but that is not true, Zach. Do you know what is? Do you know what is true, Zach? Online retailers are not killing local businesses. You and I are killing local businesses for using online retailers.
Because it's our choice if we decide that we want to use, like, go local or buy online.
Because, Zach, we live in a democratic society where the people is what moves the market, is what moves business. I thought that's what right? Democrat, right? We're the voice. So why is it Jeff Bezos' fault that we use Amazon?
It's not.
It's not. It is not. No matter how pissed you can be at these big companies and corporations, you have to understand your place. We are dependent on each other. They have to play this chess game, but they're playing it based off of our interests. So it's not necessarily a downfall on us because, I mean, we have the power to make a company go under.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it is still a balancing act. They're still playing their chess game, but they're playing in a chess game, Zach, you can still lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a game works, Zach. You can win and you can lose based off of the way that they position their pieces, which is us. And depending on how we take other pieces, which is us, they can still lose. They can win and they can lose. It's a game, Zach. Economy is a game that we don't play. It's the game that they play. We are participants in it.
Right. And when you talk about the concept of these big companies being faulted for the decisions that people make, it just doesn't make any sense because, like, you know, let's take, for example, the Shure SM57 that you currently have sitting in front of your face right now, right?
This guy right here.
Yes. Oh, God.
I'm sorry. Don't worry. Compression will take it down.
No, it won't. So I ended up buying that same microphone.
You did.
Right? I bought it like last week or something.
And used it last stream.
I used it last stream, and it was fantastic. You bought yours online. I bought mine at a music store. And was it because a good buddy of mine works at that music shop and, you know, he might be able to get me, you know, 5% off or whatever? Maybe. But also it's because you don't necessarily, like, if there's a way to go out and get something like brick and mortar style, I'm going to do that because that's just kind of the way it is. And, like, you know, the deals that you find online aren't exclusively online. You just got to look a little bit for the deals at stores. You have to go to said store to see said deals. And so when you're talking to, like, the diehard Amazon is the way of the future, bro, you know, they'll be like, oh, the deals that you can find online are always so much better than the ones that you can find in a store. I mean, sometimes that may be true. Sure. But a lot of the time, it just depends on where you go. Because the camera lenses that you'll find at Best Buy are different from the camera lenses that you'll find at a camera store. Like if you go to IKEA to get furniture, that'll be different from going to Fred Meyer's to get furniture. It's all about where you go. And if there's something that you can't find in a store that you need to get online, that's an entirely different story from I'm going to buy every single thing that I want online. And the reason why my Amazon freaking order history is kind of insane is because I am a man of random obscure things that
as am I.
As are you.
I always have random things lying around for the opportune moment.
Yes, exactly. And so those random, VGA to HDMI adapters and the mini HDMI cables and all of those things that would just be like trying to find a needle in a haystack in say Walmart, Fred Meyer's, Best Buy, whatever. It's a lot easier to find that stuff online, and instead of trying to go on a fucking wild goose chase to find it, I would just prefer to get it online. But if it's something as simple as like, I'm trying to think of an example. I'm looking around and I can't find anything. Shit. Let's say you're buying a book series.
Okay.
Right? And you want to get it brand new. You're not really worried about how much it costs, whatever, You're just like, I really want to get this series. No Game, No Life. The light novels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you'll be able to find that in your local Barnes and Noble? Maybe, possibly. But if they don't have it, then where are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go to the Amazons, the eBays, the whatever.
You have to do what you have to do.
You got to do what you got to do to find what you're looking for. And we're at a place now where it's so easy for you to just get that instant gratification where you just immediately find exactly what you're looking for and you don't even have to get off your ass to do it. And it shows up at your door in 3 to 5 business days with Amazon Prime. It's like we get way too complacent with the way that we go about acquiring things.
Sure.
And, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, because that's just kind of the natural progression of how things have evolved over the course of time. Like we used to ride horses and now we drive cars. Now we can go 70 miles an hour and I can get to work in Tigard in like 35 minutes. It's not that bad. Or I could go to Seattle in like 2 hours. Can you imagine how long that would take on a fucking horse? A really long time, And then it got to the point to where we were like, I want to go across this big old lake of water and get to over there. And then these 2 dudes were like, all right, hold my beer. And then they were like,
hold my moonshine.
Hold my moonshine. The fuckers flew. And, it's just become easier and easier for us to get to where we need to be, acquire the things that we need to acquire. And we're at the point now where it's just, you can book a flight, get to wherever you need to go, 6 hours, you'll be there on the other side of the country. 12 hours, you'll be on the other side of the world. It's like, that's wild.
It is.
We used to, like we talked about in a previous episode, freaking supersonic travel.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a possibility again, because this was, in the 90s, in the 80s is when that was happening. The natural evolution has made it easier for us to become complacent and find the easiest way to do something. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But at the same time, there are ways that you can go about acquiring things that may not have to be the quickest and easiest. And if it's supporting local businesses, like I'd rather go to a local diner than McDonald's.
Right.
It may cost a little bit more, but that's what they have to do to be able to make money, to be able to feed their kids at the end of the day, you know? And it's like, it's just frustrating, because one of my favorite restaurants, I don't know if you know about this restaurant, Mill Creek Pub over in Battleground.
I do not know. I don't know very much about Battleground.
Oh, okay. Well, they had some damn good food. They were really, really good. And I'd been going there essentially since I moved here. And they ended up shutting down for good because of COVID, because of a whole bunch of other things. And, people just weren't going there anymore. And it's just like, fuck, man. Like, I wish that there's something that we could have done to prevent that. And that's not even remotely an isolated incident. And that's not even because of COVID, like 100% because of COVID.
Right.
It's because of a lot of different things. And like, you know, retail shops and like all of that kind of stuff are freaking suffering, you know? But you know, it's, it's just kind of hard to wrap my head around the point where we're at right now, where it is so convenient to be able to get everything and anything. And it's like, do I need to do this the most efficient way? Is it necessary for me to look for the fastest, easiest, instant gratification thing? Know what I mean?
Yes. Well, it's just, you know, COVID just didn't help, you know?
Yeah.
Like, COVID forced people to stay inside. Well, we have to stay inside, but we need necessities.
Right.
It's too scary to go outside right now. Don't want to go grocery stores for necessary workers. You know, they still got to work, but it's even if you're if you believe in COVID or not, it's still kind of scary. It's yikes outside. So like, okay, whatever. Then I just gotta do what I have to do. Order online. People got Amazon Prime, bars. The world opens back up. Well, I still have my Amazon Prime. I've been using it for like 6 months.
A year.
2 years. It's nice.
Yeah.
That's how trials work, Zach. You get a free trial and it's been 3 months, Spotify, and you have like 50,000 songs. And you're like, well, fuck. I might as well just keep spending. I might as well just keep buying. I might as well just stay on the subscription.
Yeah.
It's so odd because we talk about the people and like it's our fault, but at the same time, COVID wasn't. I mean, maybe it was our fault, and like, but where do you draw the line of it being our fault? You know?
Yeah.
Where do you stop at? You know, it was our fault. It was the plane's fault. It was the boat's fault. It was the manufacturer's fault. It's the Chinese fault. It's the foods. It's the animals' fault. Where do you stop the line at whose fault it is? Is it our fault? Is it someone else's fault? Is it a country's fault? How do you decide if that, let's say it isn't, it's nobody's fault. It's the universe's fault. What the fuck? And then it's the universe's fault that local businesses are dead. No, it's not. Oh, no, it's not. It's Amazon's fault. How is it Amazon's fault?
You're the one buying.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's too tough to play this game of where you draw the line at. And this is a weird tangent from goddamn Intel Alder Lake. But where do you draw the line of a good product or a bad product, a good business or a bad business? Because there's too many things that happen within the process of your decision of yes or no. It's not 50-50. It's not a coin flip of whether it's a good or a bad thing. It's a coin flip, but it's a coin flip after a second coin flip. So now it's no longer 50-50. It's like what, 25%? Right? Math? 50. If you get a heads, then what are the chances you get heads again? Or what are the chances of getting two heads? That's like 25%. So it would not be 50% because you'd have to get. This is calculus type shit. Anyways, that's besides the point. I did calculus, by the way. I just don't have my graphing calculator. Anyways, and then nice, and then it's coin flips after that again. There's so many coin flips, so many coins, money, economy, so much money, coins, economy. It's just different. You cannot fault this chair company for making bad chairs. They just made a $30 chair for you can have. That's okay. That's adequate. That's a chair.
That's where the moral line starts to blur, because we all have the free will to literally do whatever the fuck we want. And so if you want to buy something and you want to buy it from this place, no one is stopping you from doing that. And so when if you decide that you just want to shit on somebody's birthday cake and post a really bad review on Amazon and be like, this is garbage, I hate you, I hope you die, you know, it's like
You bought it.
yeah, you have every
You can refund it on Amazon.
you can get it for like you can get a refund and ruin somebody's day at the same time. Multitasking. But it's such a hard thing to try to quantify because there are so many people on this floating rock in the middle of space. There are so many people in America that there's no way for anyone to make that fine line between something being good and something being bad, because it's all subjective. And the only time that it's unanimously one thing, it's always this thing is bad. It's never this thing is good. It's good for you, but it might not be good for me. Use case.
Use case. Zach, free anything. Free will, freedom of speech is... God, am I really questioning the goddamn Constitution? Jesus fucking Christ, bro. That's not what I'm here for. This is not a news channel. It's not a political channel. It's not a news show. I don't know anything about, well, I know the bare minimum if I need to as an adult. But free will and freedom of speech and all the free right of whatever the fuck that is, you know, anything that is all those free stuff, freedom of speech, let's say, right? Is a thing, and that's a great thing. You shouldn't be, you know, objectified, or you shouldn't be prosecuted, or whatever I'm looking for, of whatever, you know, for what you say, right? That's a good thing, right? Persecuted, that's the word. But if I'm walking down the street and someone calls me a C word, a ching chong boy, yes, he has the freedom of speech to do so, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's not the correct thing to do. Well, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they didn't write in the Constitution, you can say whatever you want, just don't be a dick. Like, some people just do not understand that their actions have consequences.
Yes.
And that's why you end up with so many situations of, you know, people thinking that they can get away with the crimes and shit.
Zach, this is a slippery slope I'm going down, but I'm going down it anyways because I have to prove my point, Zach.
Oh God.
I'm sorry, but it needs to happen. If a black male is walking down the street and someone calls them the N-word, I'm being discreet. Or is that the right word? I'm being painfully blatant because it is a serious thing that's happening right now.
Yeah,
that's been plagued in America forever, but right now, you know, with the whole all Black Lives Matter movement, it's very important right now. So I'm using this example, and if you want to cancel me, you can, but I'm not doing it I play a neutral card. Obviously, I have my own opinions. You have your own opinions, Zach. Everybody has their own opinions. That's whatever. Here's my example. A black man walks down the street and someone calls him the N-word. And okay, fuck you. Catches a warranted fist to the chin. Mm-hmm. You know? And homie who got clocked just then is like, why would you do that? I have a freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want in this country. I know this is a very slippery slope I'm going down, but I'm going to go down it anyways. That is the current issue that we're facing right now. Because yes, he did have the freedom of speech to say that, but what the fuck is your problem? Why? Because the Constitution, the law, permits you to say whatever you want, but it does not explicitly. You know, do not be a dick is not a law. Like, what does that constitute? What does that mean? The only understanding of not being a dick, quote unquote, is your moral understanding of what a dick means, of what an asshole means, what does that define? Where is a line? As I said, where does a line draw in that? Gosh, and that's just not, I don't want to open some political debate. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what I want to do. I'm not opening some sort of racist talk of some sort. That's not my ballpark. That's not my wheel park. But as a citizen of this country, that is something that I have a freedom to speak about, eh?
When it becomes not a question of politics, but a question of morals, that's when the line starts to blur exponentially, because you think about it like the way that you and I think about that example that you gave. It's common sense. Like, dude, you're an asshole. Talk shit, get hit. You deserved it. But on the other side of that, you know, there are a select few people out there in the world that would look at that situation and think, oh, sticks and stones. Don't be such a weenie about it. You know, like, fucking why? But that's just how it is. And the difference of opinion between two people on anything can be literally the most grandiose extreme that you could possibly imagine. Like, you can talk about not getting into it. You could talk about religion, politics, sexual orientation. You could talk about the LGBTQ. You could talk about BLM. You could talk about all of these things that are just so volatile in nature.
Yes.
And the only reason why that is because there are people on the extremes that are the most vocal about said thing that are butting heads with each other. And they're just sitting there spewing hateful things towards each other because they're not willing to have a conversation about it. And I can sit down and have a talk with anyone about any topic, really, and they will have a hard time knowing what side of the fence I sit on when it comes to any given issue. Because if you look at it with an open-minded perspective and you're willing to learn from the person that you're talking to, it's not a debate, it's a conversation. It's not a confrontation, it's a conversation. And this is tying into the episode that actually went up today, which is kind of funny.
Well, when you're watching this last week.
Yeah.
Wednesday? Yes, I think, right?
Monday.
Maybe. What are you going? One of those days.
Our upload schedule is really weird. But when it becomes less of an argument and more of a conversation, that's when things actually happen. You can't fight fire with fire. You can't expect something good to happen when you're trying to get the world to descend into chaos. And I don't want this to turn into something political. I don't want it, like, you know, that's not...
We're just a bunch of people within this country talking about things that exist in this country. That's all it is. We have no merit. We have no political or religious or no... We have no set in stone background on massive or on topical things such as this. We have our own experiences,
right?
Living in this country with its own problems, its own good things, its own bad things, as any country does, as any nation does. And I don't care who you are, what side of the spectrum you sit in, where in the spectrum you sit in, whether it's in between or on the complete opposite sides. If you were to sit on this couch behind me and I were to sit on the couch as well and we were to have a beer, this is what I would talk about with you. I don't care. Well, I do care what you say, but I'm not here to argue with what you say. I am not here to tell you that you are wrong, nor you are right. Unless it's like literally facts, but that's besides the point. At this point, everything is just opinionated and subjective with facts sprinkled in to make it seem like one side has the arc over the other and vice versa. Maybe one is super right. Who knows? That's not for me to decide here because I'm not ever going to take any political any stance on something that that I am not knowledgeable on enough.
Yes.
I will not start saying who is a good or a bad president of our nation, even if it's blatantly obvious. I don't care. I'm not going to do that because I don't have enough background to warrant myself. That'd be like if I started trying to, if I was trying to argue with an audiophile about headphones. I don't know anything about headphones. Well, I do, but not that much. I know a little bit. I'm not going to take a side on audiophilism. That's what I'm going with. And consumer headphones-ism. Based off of the couple headphones that I own, which
Right.
may be more than the average person. Sure, I agree. But I am not that type of, I play as someone, maybe it's the way I was brought up. Maybe it was the way I was raised, where we don't take sides. We look at an outside of perspective, more of a, Buddhism and that type of stuff. And, even though I'm Buddhism, I'm not going to say, okay, but then, yeah, I'm Buddhist, so Christianity is wrong. That's not what I am here for. I am here to play the neutral card if on any subject that I am not 100% confident on any stand. NZXT cases, Zach, I'm 100% a stand on that damn case. Fuck that 510 case, Zach. I will stand my ground because I feel confident in that.
Which is fine.
Fine.
But that doesn't mean that that's going to dictate the decision that I make on something.
That is fine. But I'm not going to be the Sherpa on computer cases in an overarching topic. That is a different thing. I am not someone who right and wrong just doesn't exist in an opinionated battle, because there is right and wrongs in both sides. There are good and bads on Intel chips, and there are good and bad on AMD chips.
So I'm going to also bring up something
Yes.
kind of controversial.
All right. We've opened up the massive can of worms beans thing. Let's go.
So this is, like I said, not going to go into it.
We're just a couple dudes.
Just a couple guys being dudes. Not a news channel. You can think what you want. If you're,
And that's okay. You're allowed to think what you want.
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, if you're going to sit there and talk a bunch of shit in the comment section, like, go read a book. I don't know. Pog. But you talk about any headline in the news, and there's always going to be two sides. Depending on the news channel that you watch, one side may be more influenced than the other, and one may be more prominent than the other. That doesn't mean that one news station is saying bullshit and the other is not. But that also means that, one is right, one is wrong. When you're talking about those things, especially with where the world is right now, and I'm being very cautious about the things that I say, because I don't want anyone to think, get the wrong idea about how I feel about anything. And honestly, it doesn't matter, but also I'm could not be asked to sit and try to explain that kind of shit. The way that I was raised, the people who I surrounded myself with, the environment that I was born into, you have the context of all of that. And so when you and I talk about something that may be controversial and that, it may kind of rile some people up, that all of the things that I just listed have some type of influence on the way that I see the world. And the reason why I feel these certain things is because of the lens that I was able to live my life through.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, that doesn't mean that I'm right. That doesn't mean that you're right. We see the world in two entirely different ways. You can talk about the fact that my dad's a retired police officer and all of the things that are going on in the world surrounding that.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion on that is based upon the fact that I lived with it. Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with it. I lived around it. I've seen it. I've spent every day of my life being consciously aware of what is going on in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I might know a bit more than the average human being about that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that I feel like I'm 100% right in everything that I talk about? Fucking no. No. Hell no. There are things that I still do not know about. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. But with that being said, the people who have no information that are just going strictly based on emotion alone, they're always going to set themselves up for failure. And I have seen it. And it's so frustrating to try to talk to those people and be like, hey, listen, there are things that I've seen and experienced throughout my life that help me understand this area better and has given me information that I can bring to the table that may help you have a greater understanding of what's actually going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll sit there and be like, no, fuck you. You can, go die or whatever, go fuck yourself. And it's just, you just want to grab them by the shoulders and shake them and be like, you are so
ignorant.
Yeah.
Is the lightest way I can put it.
Yeah. Did you notice that I didn't say anything there? It's so frustrating. And especially when it has to do with things that involve people in my family. And yeah, I feel like if I go into it even slightly more, then the lid's going to blow off.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that I feel about it is just, I am very, very, very passionate about that. And I have a lot to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a conversation for another day when we're not recording. Because I don't want people to think that I am something that I am not. And if that means that I'm going to have to bite my tongue and sit here and act like I am not absolutely enraged about certain world events, so be it. But what I will not do is tolerate people blatantly lying about things and expecting good things to come from it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes to events going on in the world.
Right.
And I feel like that is all I have to say about that.
That's all right.
And I feel like you can see the amount of restraint that I have to have. And I have to be very deliberate with the way that I say things and the things that I say.
And now, as you say that, one person may say, well, Zach, you have the right to freedom of speech. Why don't you just go ahead? But there's a difference. You understand that there's a time and place for some things. You understand that some things maybe shouldn't be said. And sometimes the fact of life is a little bit more brutal and honest than it needs to be, than needs to be mentioned. Sometimes, many times, often cases, honestly. And that is why you can't just I just can't just say, well, Zach, just go ahead, man. Fuck it, dude. Freedom of speech. I can't just do that. I have a restraint on myself as well, because I also have very strong opinions about a lot of things surrounding my own stuff, surrounding my own culture, surrounding my own tradition, surrounding my own experiences in events that occur, events that have occurred to my own people, events that occur to my family and how they feel. I mean, I live in a country right now where they're blaming Asians for COVID. You know?
Yeah.
I have a lot of things to say about how my people feel, but I'm restraining myself, not for the fact that I'm scared to be canceled. No, I don't give a fuck about that, because I know how I feel, but I'm restraining myself for the fact that there is a time and place where these things need to be said. And I am not a politician. I am not I'm not a debate artist. Is that a word? Occupation? Debater? Debate person of which debates
Yeah.
professionally. Sure. You know, I have my own very strong opinions, very passionate opinions as well. But I'm not just sitting here and spilling it out because freedom of speech.
There's a major difference between saying what needs to be said and saying what you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Saying what needs to be said in the context of any type of conversation, it may be brutal, it may be harsh, it may be hard to hear, but it's what has to be said.
Right.
When something has to be said, I'm gesturing over here when I'm mentioning all of the events that are going on in the world, because if I mention any of them, it's gonna start a fucking forest fire.
Yeah. Cancel any percent.
Yeah.
Glitchless.
It's been fun. I will only mention anything that is going on in the world when something needs to be said about it. And a lot of time, there will be times where I'll just sit there and let loose and be like, dude, this is fucking insanity. And then just go off and just air my dirty laundry. But in a situation like this, where this is going beyond...
Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
No,
I
totally
apologize.
Just put the fucking screwdriver down, dude.
I can't. Whenever I spin the screwdriver, I get passionate. I'll put it down.
Okay. I have the screwdriver now. Oh, it's warm.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been gripping on it with the strength of a gorilla.
Yeah. World events.
I had to loosen the air a little bit. Sorry.
When we are in a situation where this is going beyond our 2 ears, and this is something that is being broadcast to people who may have not signed up for this shit and didn't want to hear about it, I'm not going to subject them to that because they didn't ask for it. They didn't ask to hear my opinion. They didn't ask me to ask me to sit there and shoot the shit and say a bunch of things about world topics, things that are going on in the world, and the way that I feel about them. Because the way that I feel about them, in the grand scheme of things, does not fucking matter. There's only so much that I can do in the power that I have to be able to use these feelings that I feel, no matter how passionately I feel about them, to be able to do a fucking thing about what's going on in the world. So, I keep it to myself. And that's totally fine. I share the way that I feel about things with people who are willing to listen and willing to converse with me about them. That's basically it. And that's okay. And there are certain situations where you can do something about it. And I would implore you to do so. I want people to be a part of what is going on in a positive way. Can that happen? I hope so. Honestly,
It'd be up to the people.
It would be up to the people. And I think just kind of like a overarching thing. I want the world to be a better place when I am done with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if that can be little, if it can be huge, it doesn't matter. I just want the world to be even a little bit better over the course of my lifetime. If I can do anything about that, then I could die happy. And if you look at it from the perspective of how can the world benefit me, as opposed to how can I benefit the world, then that's not a good way to live. Like I think every day, how can I benefit the people around me? How can I make the world just a little bit better? And now I'm going to school to be freaking a veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not right now, but I'm working towards it.
Right.
That's my end goal. That's not for me. That's not just so that I can make a shit ton of money. If I wanted to do that, I could be a freaking, I don't know, web designer or something. I don't know. Just like if I the sole purpose of me going into any career was to just make a lot of money, there are careers out there that you can do that and you can probably do it pretty easily. But I'm going into a field that I can help people and animals and make the world a better place in a way that I know how. So,
Yeah.
I think that that's all I have to say about that, at least for now.
No, that's good. That's fine. Ties in with everything. Didn't think we were going to get too topical. This is what happens when we start recording days closer to when we upload. Anyway, Zach, so Intel processors drop. I'm sure Intel is stoked to be mentioned, to be shown in the background of an episode where we talk about events like this. I'm sure they're stoked. I'm sure they would love to sponsor our show.
So basically, TLDR, AMD and Intel have been fighting with each other for a long time. For the longest time, Intel was better than AMD. And then AMD came back and was like, fuck you, bitch. And then AMD was better than Intel. And now Intel is kind of clawing their way back because they were on a plateau for a while. And so now Intel is kind of wearing the crown for right now. And yeah, thanks for watching.
That's it. That's the show. If you want to know more about Intel and AMD, watch TechTubers. Not me.
Do research.
Yeah.
We have links and stuff. Go click on them because they're kind of cool.
They open tabs. That's fantastic.
Twitter, Spotify, Patreon that isn't set up yet. We have a coffee link. We have SoundCloud.
No, we don't.
We don't have SoundCloud anymore. We got rid of it because fucking Spotify.
SoundCloud sucks. They only let us do 3 for free.
Oh, that's very not fun. Anyways, yeah. So, I love your face. I will see you guys in the next episode. And so will him.
Me.
We'll have people here. No, we won't. Will we?
Will we? I don't know. Pretty soon. Pretty soon we will.
Yes. So you won't have to just see our 2 faces and hear our 2 voices.
Yes. Thank you everybody for watching, listening, and I'll hope you have a good day.